So what if I tell you this though?
Sure.
If you take Bron and put him on them Bulls teams, they still have 6 rings.
I would challenge that.
You would challenge that?
Yes. Let me tell you why I would challenge it. I agree with you if you're taking LeBron from the time that he won against OKC and he won his first title. I get to look at the 7 previous years.
But when did Jordan win?
I'm not talking about years. I'm talking about heart. You see, you got to remember something, fellas. We got to see. You can't go here because I'm not going to run.
I gotta go there because I firmly believe there's some players that you put in the 90s. Like I know you seen Wembanyama last night.
Oh yeah. There's no
what does he look like in the 90s?
There's no answer. You want me to tell you what would happen to him? Want me to tell you what happened to him?
He's shooting it over though.
Remember when he had what happened to him last year?
He got into some blood clots.
That would have happened to him. That's what they would have done to him back in the day. They'd have found a way. That's what they did. That's what they did. I'm just telling you, you had cats that had a license to assault you. It was a different game. But let me get back to your let me get back to your point. So LeBron is a total package kind of player. 6'9", 260, post you up, do all of these other things. See, y'all want to ignore how you lost to Dallas. You don't get to do that.
I don't ignore it. But
Hold on, wait a minute.
I think he should have won that.
Time out.
That's probably his only fault on his resume.
That's fine, but understand the importance of that fault. Here's why. You didn't have a bad game. You were scared. It was the fourth quarter of 4 consecutive games of an NBA Finals. Unquestionably the greatest player in the world went 4 games scoring 4 points or less in the fourth quarter with J.J. Barea and Jason Terry guarding him. There is no discussion here. There's no discussion here. The point that I'm making to you is this. There's a bigger element to go to here. Everybody has bad games. Hell, you can have a bad series. But when mentally you're warped, now you have to take into consideration the kind of advantage you've given the opposition if they were against you. I am not telling you that the LeBron that won the next year and the year after that, okay, could not be in the GOAT conversation. I'm trying to say that that person that showed up against Dallas, that Michael Jordan or those caliber of players would have never let him overcome those mental, emotional disabilities. I'm answering the question in a fashion to make you say that when you know this better than me, hell, you was at UCLA, bro. You see LaMelo in Charlotte, y'all know what I'm talking about. You know when you got a cat's heart. You know when a cat is scared, the moment is too big. Watch the documentary with Indiana on the Indiana Pacers, and they're talking about they're interviewing Mark Jackson and they're interviewing Reggie Miller, and then they talk about how John Starks got fouled, and then you go to Mark Jackson and Mark Jackson's footage says John Starks wanted no part of that one. If you're gonna say that LeBron would have won the 6 rings with Pippen, then I get to ask you, was he gonna overcome the bad boy Pistons?
It took MJ some tries.
I'm just saying, I got you. I'm saying I get to ask that question.
That's fair. I would argue
that's
that
all I'm
if you
saying.
give him the same amount of time, yes.
Okay, and I'm saying to you, there was never an issue with MJ's heart.
Never.
MJ's issue was Scottie Pippen gonna get a migraine?
But
were you guys gonna be ready?
He wasn't strong enough the first couple of times.
I feel you. He got beat up. Yeah. But what I'm saying is his game showed up. He didn't have the help. Scottie Pippen had a migraine in the game 7, bro. You might be too young for that. You might not know that, even though you know read about it.
He wouldn't have won without Scottie. That's what I do know.
A migraine, you can't dribble, you can't shoot, you can't play in a game 7 of an Eastern Conference Finals when this man has starved his whole career to get there. You understand MJ crying on a bus with his dad, God rest his soul, because he's sick to his stomach because the opportunity was missed. This is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. I'm just saying the road traveled is what you have to take into consideration.
There's a claim floating around the basketball world, loud, repeated, and blindly accepted by people who refuse to face reality. If you replaced Michael Jordan with LeBron James on the 92nd Chicago Bulls, the Bulls would still win 6 championships. And Stephen A. Smith, never afraid to say the one thing that freezes an entire studio, shut that fantasy down with one sentence. I challenge that. No warm-up. No sugar-coating. No. Let's look at the numbers. Stephen A. went straight to the core of the argument. The one place where the truth hits the hardest. It's not about skill. It's not about height or strength. It's not about basketball IQ or assists per game. It's not even about stats, 8 all. It's about heart, the fire, the fight, the refusal to back down when the world tries to break you. Because when you say, LeBron would also get 6 rings on the Bulls, you're basically saying any talented superstar could reproduce the greatest dynasty in modern sports. And according to Stephen A., not only is that wrong, it's so unrealistic it disrespects an entire era of basketball. The Chicago Bulls of the 1,990 seconds were not some plug-and-play roster waiting for any superstar to appear. They were the product of one thing, Jordan's spirit, that relentless, merciless, never-afraid mentality. Jordan didn't just score. Jordan didn't just dominate. Jordan didn't just hit clutch shots. Jordan reshaped the NBA into a war zone where only the fearless survived. And the Bulls, every fiber of that team was born from his mentality. So when someone casually says, LeBron on the Bulls would also win 6 rings, Stephen A. doesn't go into analytics. He doesn't break down triangle offense. He doesn't compare stats or PER. He simply asks one question, one that shatters the entire argument. Does LeBron have the heart to survive in Jordan's world? And with that single question, the entire 6 rings fantasy begins to collapse. The 90 seconds. A world where basketball demanded heart before talent. If you want to understand why the idea LeBron on the Bulls would still get 6 rings is pure fantasy, you first have to understand the environment Michael Jordan conquered. The NBA of the 1,990 seconds, a battlefield disguised as a basketball league. This wasn't an era of spacing, of soft whistles, of step-back threes and safety-driven officiating. This was an era of blood, bone on hardwood, and elbows flying long before a referee even considered blowing a whistle. Stephen A. said it best. Players in the 90 seconds had a license to assault each other. And that is not an exaggeration. That is the cold, brutal truth. Hand-checking wasn't a foul. It was the defensive system. You didn't guard a man with your feet. You guarded him with your forearm, your elbow, your hips, your entire body weight. You shoved, you bumped, you redirected, and it was all legal. Jordan walked into that hell every single night. LeBron James, in today's whistle-friendly, star-protected, spacing-heavy NBA, has never experienced even 1% of that physical chaos. When Stephen A. mentioned Bam Adebayo's blood clot issue, he dropped a line that made the entire table go silent. Back in the 90 seconds, teams would have given him a blood clot in year 1. The message was clear. In the 90 seconds, they weren't merely defending you. They were breaking your resolve, sometimes literally breaking your body. The 90 seconds didn't just require skill. They required survival. You had to withstand constant collisions, no calls after being knocked midair, personal vendettas between teams, and playoff series that felt more like trench warfare than basketball games. If you dared to attack the rim and missed, the Detroit Pistons would make sure you never wanted to go up again. Jordan didn't just survive the 90 seconds. He owned the 90 seconds. He owned the violence, owned the chaos, owned an era where every drive to the basket could end your season. That is the world Stephen A. wants you to remember. And that is the world behind the most important question of this entire debate. Does LeBron have the heart to live there? Once you truly understand what the 90 seconds were, that question stops being hypothetical. It becomes a verdict. LeBron's fatal psychological weakness. The Dallas 2011 collapse he can never escape. If there is one moment, one series, one stain that permanently separates LeBron from Michael Jordan, it isn't a missed shot, a lost finals, or a bad game. It is Dallas 2011. The moment Stephen A. Smith uses as the sharpened blade that cuts through every LeBron would win 6 rings on the Bulls argument. Because this wasn't about stats. This wasn't about talent. This wasn't about skill mismatches or aging teammates or unfortunate injuries. This was about fear. Real, visible, paralyzing fear on the brightest stage in basketball. Stephen A. said it with no hesitation, no filter, no softening of the blow. This wasn't a bad game. This wasn't a bad series. This was fear. LeBron James, widely considered the best player on the planet, went through 4 straight fourth quarters in the NBA Finals, scoring 4 points or fewer. 4 straight. In the Finals. guarded by J.J. Barea and Jason Terry. Let that sit for a moment. This is the man some people believe could survive the bad boy Pistons? This is the man they think could handle 90 seconds playoff pressure? This is the man they expect to shoulder the psychological warfare that Jordan lived in every single season? Stephen A. made it brutally clear. When mentally you're warped, when the moment becomes too big for you, you've given the opposition a weapon Jordan never gave anybody. Jordan had bad shooting nights. Jordan had tough series. Jordan had years where he came up short, but Jordan never had a moment where he hid. Jordan never had a moment where he folded under pressure. Jordan never disappeared because the moment was too big. For LeBron, Dallas wasn't just a stumble. It was a psychological implosion, the kind of collapse the 90 seconds would have capitalized on mercilessly. Against the bad boys, they smell that weakness. They feast on it. They drag it into the open and tear it apart. Against the Knicks, they would have turned that mental crack into a canyon. Against the 90 seconds Bulls, Jordan himself would have ended the series mentally before it even began. And that's the point Stephen A. keeps hammering. You can't hand LeBron 6 rings simply by dropping him onto Jordan's roster, because Jordan's world didn't allow players with mental collapses. Jordan's world punished you the moment you showed fear. Jordan's world eliminated you if you hesitated. Jordan's world demanded a level of psychological violence most stars today have never faced. LeBron James, the greatest physical package the league has ever seen, lost to finals because he could not overcome himself. Jordan never lost to himself. Not once. Not ever. And that difference, that single, catastrophic psychological gap, is enough to erase the entire LeBron would win 6 rings with the Bulls fantasy in one stroke. LeBron's fatal psychological weakness. The Dallas 2011 collapse he can never escape. If there is one moment, one series, one stain that permanently separates LeBron from Michael Jordan, it isn't a missed shot, a lost finals, or a bad game. It is Dallas 2011. The moment Stephen A. Smith uses as the sharpened blade that cuts through every LeBron would win 6 rings on the Bulls argument. Because this wasn't about stats. This wasn't about talent. This wasn't about skill mismatches, or aging teammates, or unfortunate injuries. This was about fear, real, visible, paralyzing fear on the brightest stage in basketball. Stephen A. said it with no hesitation, no filter, no softening of the blow. This wasn't a bad game. This wasn't a bad series. This was fear. LeBron James, widely considered the best player on the planet, went through 4 straight fourth quarters in the NBA Finals, scoring 4 points or fewer. 4 straight. In the Finals. Guarded by J.J. Barea and Jason Terry. Let that sit for a moment. This is the man some people believe could survive the bad boy Pistons? This is the man they think could handle 90 seconds playoff pressure? This is the man they expect to shoulder the psychological warfare that Jordan lived in every single season. Stephen A. made it brutally clear. When mentally you're warped, when the moment becomes too big for you, you've given the opposition a weapon Jordan never gave anybody. Jordan had bad shooting nights. Jordan had tough series. Jordan had years where he came up short, but Jordan never had a moment where he hid. Jordan never had a moment where he folded under pressure. Jordan never disappeared because the moment was too big. For LeBron, Dallas wasn't just a stumble. It was a psychological implosion, the kind of collapse the 90 seconds would have capitalized on mercilessly. Against the bad boys, they smell that weakness. They feast on it. They drag it into the open and tear it apart. Against the Knicks, they would have turned that mental crack into a canyon. Against the 90 seconds Bulls, Jordan himself would have ended the series mentally before it even began. And that's the point Stephen A. keeps hammering. You can't hand LeBron 6 rings simply by dropping him onto Jordan's roster. Because Jordan's world didn't allow players with mental collapses. Jordan's world punished you the moment you showed fear. Jordan's world eliminated you if you hesitated. Jordan's world demanded a level of psychological violence most stars today have never faced. LeBron James, the greatest physical package the league has ever seen, lost to finals because he could not overcome himself. Jordan never lost to himself. Not once. Not ever. And that difference, that single catastrophic psychological gap, is enough to erase the entire LeBron would win 6 rings with the Bulls fantasy in one stroke. Why LeBron would crumble inside. The 90 seconds Bulls system. No spacing, no soft whistles, no safety net. Asterisk, asterisk. If you take modern-day LeBron James, a player built inside the most spacing-friendly, star-protected era in NBA history, and you drop him into the Chicago Bulls of the early 1990 seconds, you are not just changing jerseys. You are removing everything that makes LeBron's game function at the highest level. Stephen A. didn't have to spell all this out, but the implications are loud, brutal, and unavoidable. The 90 seconds Bulls were built for Jordan's mind, not LeBron's game. Let's break that down. In today's NBA, LeBron thrives because the court is wide, the paint is open, and defenders aren't allowed to lay a hand on him without hearing a whistle. In the 90 seconds, there is no spacing. There is no free runway to the rim. There is no clear out and drive basketball. Every possession is a fistfight in the paint. Every cut is a wrestling match. Every screen is a collision. LeBron's greatest weapon, his downhill force, would be swallowed whole by bodies, arms, hips, and elbows, legally clogging the lane. Jordan didn't need spacing. Jordan created spacing through fear. Defenders didn't sag off him. They prayed he wouldn't attack them. LeBron, on the other hand, operates best when the floor opens up for him. But on the 90 seconds Bulls, it never would. And we're not done. The Bulls' signature offense, the triangle, demanded something LeBron has never been comfortable with, playing without the ball. In the triangle, you don't dominate the ball for 14 seconds. You don't command 5 shooters standing still while you read the defense. You don't spam high pick and roll over and over again. You cut, you relocate, you screen, you trust spacing that doesn't actually exist. Jordan thrived in that chaos because he thrived under restrictions. He loved the challenge. He loved the grind. He loved the violence. LeBron, meanwhile, has always needed control. The ball in his hands, the floor spread, the system tailored around his strengths. The 90 seconds Bulls did not tailor systems. They demanded adaptation. They demanded mental submission to a scheme bigger than any individual. Jordan embraced that. Jordan enhanced that. Jordan was built for that. LeBron, he has no historical evidence of fitting in such a structure. And then, there's the officiating. Modern LeBron draws fouls by overpowering defenders who aren't allowed to touch him. In the 90 seconds, defenders were encouraged to hit him first, hit him again, and hit him harder until he quit driving. That wasn't a bug. It was a feature. Soft whistles? Gone. Superstar protection? Gone. Freedom of movement? Gone. LeBron's entire style of physical dominance becomes a liability because the 90 seconds didn't reward strength. They punished it. Jordan adapted. Jordan absorbed it. Jordan transformed violence into fuel. Would LeBron? The Dallas 2011 finals already answered that question. So when someone says, LeBron would win 6 rings on the Bulls, they are ignoring everything the 90 seconds demanded. A brutal, violent era. A suffocating half-court system. A paint clogged with bodies. No safety nets. No space. No protection. No mercy. Only one kind of player thrived there. A player with a heart made of steel. Jordan had that heart. LeBron never showed it. And that is why the 90 seconds Bulls were built for one man, and one man only. The Pistons, the gatekeepers Jordan conquered. And LeBron never could ***. Before you hand LeBron 6 rings on a silver platter, before you casually replace Michael Jordan with him in the 90 seconds timeline, you must confront an unavoidable, brutal reality. You don't get to the Bulls dynasty without going through the Detroit Pistons. Not the modern Pistons, not a rebuilding Pistons, not a lottery team Pistons. We're talking about the bad boys, the single most violent, unforgiving, psychologically vicious team in NBA history, a team built with one mission, break Michael Jordan. And they tried. My God, they tried. They slammed him. They clotheslined him. They flattened him. They forced him to the ground again and again and again. Every time he drove the lane, 2 bodies hit him before the ball even left his hand. And the refs? They swallowed the whistle like it never existed. This wasn't basketball. This was ritual sacrifice. Now, ask the only question that matters. Could LeBron James survive that? Not beat it. Survive it. Stephen A. already gave you the answer. Not with stats, not with emotion, but with logic. If J.J. Barea and Jason Terry could mentally destabilize LeBron in 2011, what do you think Bill Laimbeer and Rick Mahorn would do to him in 1989? What do you think Dennis Rodman and John Sally would do to a man who hesitates under pressure? What do you think Chuck Daly, one of the greatest defensive masterminds ever, would design for a player who depends so heavily on rhythm, comfort, and modern spacing? LeBron has never faced anything remotely close to those Pistons. Jordan did. Every year, and every year he came back stronger. Jordan didn't run from Detroit. He didn't mentally fold. He didn't collapse under the brutality. He trained. He lifted. He hardened his body and soul. He turned suffering into dominance. And when the time was right, he executed the coldest revenge in basketball history. He swept them. He didn't just beat the Pistons. He ended their empire. He broke the team that tried to break him. And do you know why? Because Jordan had something Detroit couldn't injure, a mind they couldn't bend, and a heart they couldn't reach. LeBron? A man who mentally fell apart in a friendly era with soft whistles, open lanes, and minimal contact? He would have collapsed under the Pistons' psychological warfare long before he ever reached a finals. Long before 6 rings, long before the word dynasty. This is what Stephen A. is screaming without raising his voice. If you can't conquer Detroit, you don't get 6 rings. And LeBron would never conquer Detroit. Not in 1989, not in 1990, not in that jungle. The Pistons were the gatekeepers. Jordan kicked the gate down. LeBron wouldn't have even found the key. The real reason LeBron could never replicate Jordan's 6 rings: leadership, mentality, and the DNA of winning asterisk. Asterisk. At this point, the argument isn't about stats, accolades, or longevity. It isn't about who can jump higher or who can pass better. It isn't even about their games. It's about something far deeper, the thing that actually produces championships, the DNA of leadership, the psychological engine behind winning. This is where Jordan and LeBron no longer look like 2 all-time greats. This is where they become 2 different species. Michael Jordan didn't join a winning culture. He created one, brick by brick, blow by blow, heartbreak by heartbreak. He walked into a franchise with no identity and forged one through sheer force of will. He didn't ask for the perfect roster. He didn't need 5 shooters. He didn't demand the offense revolve around his preferences. He didn't call meetings with the front office to reshape the roster mid-season. He took what he had and dragged it into championship form. Leadership wasn't something Jordan learned. It was something he radiated. His teammates didn't fear losing. They feared letting him down. That is a level of psychological gravity no player today replicates. LeBron's path? Very different. LeBron performs at his best when the environment is tailored for him. The right coach, the right spacing, the right supporting cast, the right system, the right shooters, the right timing. His championships came when organizations bent around him like orbiting planets. He didn't forge systems. He restructured them. He didn't build cultures. He imported them. He didn't mold rosters. He demanded them. There's greatness in that, but it's not the kind of greatness that survives the 90 seconds or thrives in the Bulls ecosystem. The Bulls didn't revolve around Jordan. Jordan revolved the Bulls. And here lies the deadliest truth Stephen A. is pointing at. The 90 seconds Bulls were not a team you joined. They were a team you had to become worthy of. Jordan was that standard. He was the accountability. He was the furnace that burned away weakness. He didn't need comfort. He needed conflict. He didn't need the perfect system. He needed challenge. He didn't request pressure. He devoured it. Jordan didn't just lead a dynasty. He authored it. LeBron, his leadership thrives in stability, in structure, in modern communication, in organizations built around collaboration and empowerment. That leadership works today. It does not survive the savagery of the 90 seconds, or the unforgiving demands of the triangle, or the emotional brutality of a locker room forged by Jordan's fire. So when someone says, LeBron would win 6 rings on the Bulls, they're missing the fundamental truth. 6 rings weren't the product of a system. They were the product of a man, a singular, unrepeatable, psychologically indestructible force. Jordan didn't need help becoming a winner. He made everyone else winners. LeBron does make teams great, but only within the right conditions. Jordan made conditions irrelevant. That's the difference. That's the gap. That's the reason the Bulls dynasty can never be duplicated, because the DNA that built it existed in one human being. Michael Jeffrey Jordan, not LeBron James, not anyone else. The verdict, Jordan's road, not his rings, is the proof he's untouchable, asterisk, asterisk. And now, after stripping away the myths, the hypotheticals, the wishful thinking, the truth stands alone, towering over everything. Michael Jordan's 6 rings are not what make him untouchable. It's the road he walked to earn them, the broken ribs, the bruised spine, the nights on the floor after Detroit threw him out of the air, the tears on the team bus after losing Game 7 when Pippen collapsed with a migraine, the weight of a franchise on his shoulders, the pressure of a league that expected him to be superhuman every single night. Those rings weren't trophies, they were scars. The kind of scars you only get by walking through hell and refusing to bow. Jordan didn't inherit a dynasty. He didn't join a super team. He didn't build his career in optimized spacing or modern sports science. He stepped into the darkest, most violent era the league has ever seen and mastered it. Not because he was the tallest, not because he was the strongest, not because of analytics, because he had something almost no athlete in history has ever possessed, a soul that would rather die than break, a heart that simply could not be intimidated, a will that bent the entire NBA to his command. That is the difference. That is the separation. That is why Stephen A. Smith shut the debate down instantly. Because when you understand the journey, the Pistons, the Knicks, the blood, the bruises, the mental warfare, you stop asking whether LeBron could win 6 rings with the Bulls. You start asking the only question that matters. Could he survive Jordan's world long enough to earn even one? And the answer, the one the Dallas Finals, the 90 seconds rules, the Bulls system, and history itself screams at us, is no. Not because LeBron isn't great, not because LeBron isn't legendary, but because there are levels to greatness that cannot be cloned, copied, or transplanted. Jordan didn't just win. Jordan didn't just dominate. Jordan didn't just lead. Jordan defined an era and destroyed anyone who dared breathe the same air. He is not a plug-and-play superstar. He is not a system-dependent champion. He is not a product of circumstance. He is the circumstance. He is the system. He is the dynasty. And that is why the Bulls' 6 rings can only belong to one man, Michael Jordan. Forever. Unequaled. Unreplicated. Untouchable.